First of all, I will address something odd. I've noticed that people are afraid of number 13. It seems ridiculous. It is just a number. I have heard that some buildings in the US don't have a 13th floor, which is quite funny. Well, this is episode number 13. Allow me to explain why people are afraid of this number. Many of the superstitions surrounding the number 13 can be traced back to historical and cultural beliefs. For example, in several ancient cultures, the number 12 was considered a symbol of completeness and harmony. We have 24 hours in a day, or 2 times 12. This is exemplified by the 12 months in a year and the 12 zodiac signs. In contrast, the number 13, being one more than 12, was seen as irregular and potentially associated with bad luck. In Christianity, the fear of the number 13 may be linked to the Last Supper. According to the Bible, there were 13 individuals present at the Last Supper, including Jesus and his 12 disciples. Judas Iscariot, one of the men present there, later betrayed Jesus, leading to Jesus' crucifixion. This association with betrayal and tragedy may have contributed to the negative perception of the number 13. Furthermore, the fear of Friday the 13th is associated with Templar Knights. On Friday the 13th, in October 1307, King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of the Templar Knights. This event led to the suppression and persecution of the Templars, who were accused of various charges, including heresy and other crimes. Many Templars were arrested, imprisoned, and subjected to torture. It has been claimed that Jacques de Molay, the 23rd and the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, cursed King Philip from his execution pyre. The king died a year later. The fear of Friday the 13th was born. Now that I told you about the superstitions of number 13, I will continue with the rest of this episode. The Upper Palaeolithic art is a figurative art in Europe and Southeast Asia, dating back around 40,000 years ago. There is also a rock carving from South Africa that was made 75,000 years ago. You can find the details about it in episode 7. As I discussed in episode 10 and 11, the art came from ritual. Probably. In the beginning, our ancestors created stories. With stories came ideas. With ideas came set of rules. With rules came religion, or shamanism if you like. Then our ancestors reenacted these narratives. The acting and eventually music was born. I spoke about it in the episode 10 more extensively. If you didn't listen to it, please do. Superstitions likely emerged in humans due to our natural tendencies to recognize patterns, to attribute events to spiritual or divine agents, and to seek control and predictability. Superstition in early humans, or even perhaps in early hominids, we don't know for certain, possibly had adaptive roots in our evolutionary history. In experiments with animals, researchers have shown that animals too can develop superstitious behaviors. There are many experiments with animals and superstition. One of the most famous is so-called the pigeon experiment. Frederick Skinner, an American psychologist, behaviorist, author, and a social philosopher, conducted this pigeon experiment on superstition. His pigeons received food rewards at random intervals for unrelated behaviors like flapping their wings or turning in circles. The pigeons began to associate these random actions with the arrival of food, even though there was no real connection. In other words, pigeons were conditioned to exhibit superstitious behaviors. Also, in the Harlow and Amzell study with a chimp named Claude, the chimpanzee received food rewards at irregular intervals regardless of his behavior. As a result, he developed superstitious behaviors like repeatedly touching parts of his cage or engaging in certain movements, mistakenly thinking that these actions were somehow linked to the delivery of food. Rats were also subject of such an experiments. When rats received food rewards unpredictably, they also developed superstitious behaviors, such as running in circles or pressing levers, believing that these actions somehow cause the food rewards. Superstitious behaviors are essential for our cultures since the dawn of humankind. Superstition patterns differ from culture to culture, from time to time, from geography to geography. Imagine you've never seen a painting. How do you even get the idea to start one? How do you add random lines to represent something? And the art, drawings, paintings, statues, carvings had to represent something meaningful to the creator and the culture they lived in. Many of the paintings of bison, horses, and deer have dots around them. Some of the drawings have indication that our ancestors, maybe, just maybe, pierced the drawings on a cave wall with a spear. This is all hard to tell. There is not enough evidence. That begs the question, what was the initial point of visual art? It is all a big mystery. Is a hand on a cave wall made as a mark that the hunter was there, present in this initiation of stabbing the drawing on a cave wall? Or is it only a mark to give future generations, us, and those that come after us, a shout that the hunter, the artist, was there, present, alive? When we visit museums and exhibitions, we would find that most art is very close to us in terms of cultural meaning and its symbolism. We understand what it means, how it is made, and what it represents. However, when we observe Paleolithic art, we are often left confused and in the dark. Even if we have hypotheses or interesting theories about Paleolithic art, they may always remain unverifiable. That's why I want to crack the code of the symbolism and the meaning of Paleolithic art. I want to know how, and most importantly, why our ancestors created art. We don't have the same stories, myths, and legends as the authors of Paleolithic art. All we have, with all the research and the art history books, is ability to grasp how they did it, but not why. The emergence of art is linked to the rise of Homo sapiens' cognitive ability, which occurred some 75,000 years ago. The oldest stone art has been discovered in South Africa, dating to the same timeline. This period is called the Middle Paleolithic. I discussed it in episodes 7 and 8. If you haven't been able to check it, please do. The Upper Paleolithic and its art from approximately 40,000 years ago to 10,000 years ago is characterized by prominent presence of figurative art. The presence of similar art styles, and art themes in two geographically distant regions, Indonesia and Europe, separated by approximately 11,000 kilometers, indicates the existence of shared artistic traditions. One notable discovery from 2018, where a figurative painting of an animal dating back over 40,000 years was found in a cave on Borneo Island. This could imply an ancient tradition, perhaps dating back to the time when people separated during their migration out of Africa. Informally, European Upper Paleolithic art is known as the Ice Age art, in a reference to the last glacial period. The art of European Upper Paleolithic include various forms of expression, such as rock and cave painting, jewelry, drawing, carving, engraving, and sculpture, in materials like clay, bone, antler, stone, and ivory. Musical instruments like flutes were also created in this period. Decorative elements were applied to functional tools, such as spears and spear throwers. One of the oldest known examples is the lion human, dating back approximately 40,000 years ago. It was discovered in Swabian Mountains in modern-day Germany, near the border with Switzerland and Austria. So, what was this lion man? It's a representation of a man, with shoulders wider than the hips, reflecting basic anatomical proportions of a man. If the hips was wider than the shoulders, then it would be a woman. But also, Ice Age people were very athletic. So the ratio between hips and shoulders in Ice Age women, who were also hunters and gatherers, and extremely athletic, wouldn't be much different of a man. But it's called Lion Man, and I will go with it. This sculpture is one of the oldest artistic representation of zoomorphic art, or art that features or is inspired by animal forms and shapes in combination with human forms and shapes. This sculpture of a lion man belongs to the Aurignacian culture to the Upper Paleolithic, and it's made of mammoth ivory. The figurine stands 31 centimeters tall, 5 centimeters wide, and almost 6 centimeters thick, and it is on display in the Museum of Ulm. I have a suggestion. What if it is a toy? Only a toy and nothing more. Not a religious object of worship, but a simple toy. We give this figurine a symbolic meaning and try to decipher the behaviors and beliefs of the people who made it. What if a child asks for his or her parents, or grandparents even, to make a toy to play with? Maybe, like all children, this child was fascinated with, air quote, the monsters under the bed. What has big eyes, claws, and lurks in the dark, trying to hurt us? All children are afraid of monsters. But in this case, a cave lion. The behavior of people didn't change. Only technology, culture, belief systems, and our understanding of the world. It's only my hypothesis. Maybe I'm totally wrong. However, the Lion Man shares similarities with later cave paintings, which also depict hybrid creatures with human-like lower bodies and animal heads, such as the sorcerer from Three Brothers Cave in Pyrenees or the Bison Man from the cave in Dordogne. Debate exists as to whether the figurine depicts a lion or a human-lion hybrid figurine at all. This figurine has similarities to a standing bear. Have you ever seen a standing bear? It's very similar. I read and I read until my eyes bleed, but I was trying to research the emergence of symbols. Everything that I've read points to the belief systems or religion, shamanism if you like. Symbols in the Paleolithic period likely emerged as a result of early humans' cognitive and communicative development. These symbols were expressed through cave art and might have represented various concepts, including language, storytelling, spirituality, and cultural identity. Some symbols could have been linked to astrology or astronomy, marking celestial events or seasonal cycles, while others might have had mathematical or counting functions. Very soon, I will dedicate a whole episode to it. The exact meaning and purpose of many Paleolithic symbols remain a subject of debate among researchers, but their study offers valuable insights into early human cognitive and cultural evolution. One of the researchers in symbolism of Paleolithic art is Genevieve von Petzninger. I would like to speak with her for my art dialogues. If somebody knows her, let her know about this podcast. In art, we like to categorize into isms and schools of expression: Renaissance, Impressionism, Cubism, and so on. Prehistoric art is divided into several cultures. The term Aurignacian describes the very earliest period of Upper Paleolithic art and culture in Europe, coinciding with the entry of anatomical modern humans into Europe and the progressive disappearance of the indigenous Neanderthals. Indeed, the earliest examples of figurative art, the Venus of Hohlefels, around 38,000 years ago, was carved during the Aurignacian period. This masterpiece of prehistoric sculpture was discovered in September 2008 at the Hohlefels cave in the Swabian mountains of southwest Germany. The most famous example of cave paintings created during the Aurignacian culture was found in 1994 at Chauvet Cave in the region of southern France. However, new uranium tests show that El Castillo cave painting, red dot and hand stencils, and some of the Altamira cave paintings also belong to the era of Aurignacian period. More recent discoveries of Aurignacian cave art include the Fumane cave near Verona and Abri Castagnet engravings in Dordogne, both dating to 35,000 years ago. As the art progressed, art gradually became less stylistic and more naturalistic. Animals, for instance, were drawn with the knowledge of very sophisticated animal anatomy. Human figures, however, remained more symbolic. Before I start with the chronology of the Aurignacian culture, I must say that most of the names of the sites are very difficult for me to pronounce. I will do my best. I apologize in advance. I will start from the oldest art we found so far. Figurative carvings of southwest Germany from 40 to 28,000 years ago in prehistoric rock shelters of Swabian mountains have yielded a large number of Aurignacian carvings. There, archaeologists discovered the Lion Man, the Venus of Hohlefels, and the mammoth ivory figurine, the oldest known carving of an animal, and a flute, the oldest known musical instrument made from a vulture's wing bone. Abstract art in the cave El Castillo, a red dot and a handprint were dated to at least 39,000 years ago, making them the oldest art of their type in Europe. Small rock abstract engravings in Gorham Cave, some 37,000 years ago in Gibraltar, were created by the Neanderthals. Skeptics disagree. The debate continues. Figurine paintings of Fumane Cave, some 35,000 years ago, crude images of animals and half-man, half-animal figurine, or shaman, on rock fragments from a wall were found buried in debris. Engravings in Abri Castagnet, 35,000 years ago, on a huge limestone block which has become detached from ceiling. Geometric images in the Altamira cave painted around 34,000 years ago, making it one of the oldest examples of Stone Age art in Spain. Paintings in Chauvet cave some 30,000 years ago raise questions about relationship between the prehistoric painters of Chauvet and the prehistoric sculptures of Swabian mountains and even Altamira. Nawala Gambarmang has the drawing from 30,000 years ago. It is located in Northern Territory of Australia. It is the oldest confirmed example of Australian indigenous art. Other examples of Australian art includes Ube rock art, Kimberley rock art, and Borup Peninsula rock art. Paintings in Koliboaya cave, the Romanian cave that represents the oldest cave art in Central Europe, some 30,000 years ago, with charcoal drawings of horses, bison, and reindeer. Rock engravings from the Cave of Two Openings, some 28,000 years ago. This site is best known for featuring 52 engravings of animals. There is too much to cover in this episode. To conclude, I will show you the map of Ice Age Europe and the sites that I will discuss in next episode. Think of it this way. Every dot will most likely be an episode for itself. I know I promised this in episode 9 and 10, but it is a lot of art that I intend to cover. I don't want to overwhelm any of you with too much information that you all lose interest. This concludes this episode. I don't know else what to say in this episode. I want to thank you for joining and listening. I hope I inspired you. I hope you learned something.